Two people pull up in a Porsche. One paid $63,000. The other paid $2 million. Same badge, same crest, completely different worlds. One of them is driving their kids to school. The other one is driving a car that can outrun a Formula One pit lane. And most people have no idea how to tell the difference. So today, I'm breaking down the 7 levels of Porsche, from the cheapest crest you can buy to the cars that appreciate faster than most people's retirement funds. This is the guide Porsche doesn't want you to read. Let's get into it. Level 1. The entry point. The Porsche Macan. This is where almost every Porsche buyer starts, and this is where Porsche makes a remarkable amount of money. Starts around $63,000. A 2.0-liter turbo 4-cylinder, 261 horsepower, 0 to 60 in roughly 6 seconds. Respectable for an SUV. For a Porsche, it's the slowest entry point the brand has offered in decades. Here's the part Porsche doesn't advertise. The Macan shares its platform with the Audi Q5. Same bones, same Volkswagen Group architecture. Porsche refined the chassis, retuned the suspension, added better materials, and stamped the crest on the hood. The result is genuinely a better driving car than the Q5. But the gap in price is larger than the gap in engineering, which is the entire point of a luxury badge. The Macan isn't a bad car. It's a very good SUV. But it is not the Porsche experience most people think they're buying. Smart move here is to buy used. A 2-year-old Macan lands closer to $45,000, and the first owner has absorbed the steepest part of the depreciation curve. Buying this new is the most expensive way to look like you understand cars while not yet understanding cars. Level 2. The Cayenne. This is where the engineering starts to justify the price tag. The Cayenne starts around $80,000, with 650 horsepower and a 0 to 60 of 3.1 seconds. In a full-size family SUV, that's where things start to get interesting. Bigger platform than the Macan. Real air suspension. Twin-turbo V6 standard, V8 in the upper trims. And this is the car that genuinely saved Porsche. In the late 1990s, Porsche was quietly failing. The brand was weeks away from being absorbed by Volkswagen. Then they released an SUV. The enthusiast community spent 6 months writing obituaries for the brand, and then every single one of those enthusiasts bought one. The Cayenne has been the company's profit engine ever since. Every 911 GT3, every Carrera GT, every Le Mans program for the last 20 years was funded by Cayenne buyers. This is where the price actually starts to make sense. The Cayenne S is the pick, around $100,000 properly optioned. And from here on, things get expensive very fast. Level 3. The Panamera. This is Porsche's answer to a question most brands never properly answer, which is what happens when you try to make a luxury sedan that actually drives. Panamera starts around $105,000. The Turbo SE Hybrid reaches $220,000 with 771 horsepower and a 0 to 60 of 2.9 seconds. A 4-door executive sedan, posting supercar numbers, with a rear seat that comfortably fits adults on a long drive. The Panamera looks like a 911 that grew up, got a job, and started wearing a suit. Long roofline, 4 full doors, rear seats with ventilation, heating, and massage. The hybrid powertrains are the real story here. That technology traces directly back to Porsche's Le Mans prototype program. You're effectively driving trickle-down endurance racing technology to the office. The honest take. Most people don't need this car. If you rarely carry rear passengers, a 911 makes more sense. If you regularly carry adults who expect space and refinement, this is the move. Level 4. The 718 Cayman and Boxster. Mid-engine, rear-wheel drive, 2 seats, and some of the best handling you can buy for under $100,000 from any manufacturer in the world. The Cayman starts around $73,000. The Cayman GT4 RS sits at $160,000 with a naturally aspirated 4.0-liter flat-6 producing 493 horsepower, revving to 9,000 revolutions per minute. The base cars use a turbocharged 4-cylinder that some owners criticize for not sounding like a traditional Porsche. They're correct. Step up to the GTS or the GT4 and you get the flat-6. Once you've heard that engine at full throttle, every other engine sound becomes a reference point measured against it. This is the part Porsche doesn't advertise. The Cayman is, by most objective measures, better balanced than the 911. Mid-engine layout, near-perfect weight distribution, lower center of gravity. Every automotive journalist who has driven both back-to-back knows this. Porsche knows this. That is why Porsche has spent decades quietly limiting the Cayman's performance ceiling, because if the Cayman were ever allowed to outperform the 911 on paper, no one would buy the more expensive car. The Cayman is the better driver's tool. The 911 is the better status object. That is the real hierarchy, and most buyers never learn it. If you're seriously considering one of these, I put together a breakdown of the real ownership costs, not the sticker price. Insurance, maintenance intervals, tire replacement, the service items that surprise first-time Porsche owners. It's linked below if it's useful. Level 5. The 911. This is the car that doesn't need an introduction, but it does need to be properly explained. The base Carrera starts around $122,000. The Carrera S pushes $140,000. The GT3 sits at $225,000. The GT3 RS at $240,000. The Turbo S at $240,000. And then there are the limited editions, the Sport Classic, the Dakar, the S/T, where the sticker price becomes whatever the dealer decides it is that morning. The 911 has been in production since 1964. Same silhouette, same rear engine layout, same fundamental architecture, for 60 years. Every generation is a refinement of the previous one. Porsche's engineers have spent 6 decades iterating on one specific car, which is why nothing else on the road drives quite like it. The rear engine layout was supposed to be a design flaw. Physics says placing a heavy engine behind the rear axle creates an unstable, oversteer-prone car. Porsche spent 60 years engineering around that problem until the flaw became the defining feature. The 911 is faster through corners than cars it has no mechanical right to beat. The used market is also where this gets interesting. The 991.2 generation was the last naturally aspirated 911 lineup before most of the range went to turbocharging. Values are already appreciating. The buying window is narrowing. Level 6. The shift. This is where Porsche stops using engines entirely. The Taycan, Porsche's electric performance sedan, and the only EV that deserves serious consideration from someone who actually cares about driving. Base Taycan starts around $100,000. Taycan Turbo S sits at $210,000. Here is what separates the Taycan from every other fast EV. It can perform repeated hard launches without thermally limiting. The Tesla Plaid delivers 1 or 2 maximum effort launches and then enters a protective mode. The Taycan simply continues. Porsche engineered its thermal management system to handle sustained abuse because Porsche engineered this car the way it engineers every other car, assuming the owner will actually use the performance. But the Taycan is, structurally, a Porsche in every way that matters mechanically. It handles, it brakes, it carves, it communicates with the driver. It simply does all of that in silence. This is the level where the brand's future is being written. Level 7. The final level. This is where Porsche stops being a car company and becomes an asset class. The 918 Spyder, produced from 2013 to 2015. 918 units built, because Porsche is deliberate about these things. A 4.6-liter V8 hybrid producing 887 horsepower. 0 to 60 in 2.2 seconds. Top speed 214 miles per hour. Original sticker $845,000. Current market value $2 to $3 million depending on specification and mileage. It has appreciated every year since production ended. The Carrera GT, produced from 2004 to 2007. This is the one serious collectors quietly prioritize above every other Porsche. A 5.7-liter V10 derived from an abandoned Le Mans prototype program. 605 horsepower. A 6-speed manual transmission with a shift knob made from beechwood because Porsche's engineers wanted the absolute lightest possible material. Original price $440,000. Current market value $1.5 to $2 million. The Carrera GT is widely considered the last truly analog hypercar. No traction control worth mentioning. No electronic driver aids insulating you from the car. It has a reputation for being unforgiving at the limit. It also has a reputation for producing the single greatest engine sound ever fitted to a road car. These cars are not daily drivers. They live in climate-controlled storage. They emerge for concours events and photo shoots. They are not transportation. They are appreciating assets with steering wheels. Very few people will ever own one, but every serious Porsche enthusiast knows the specifications by memory, because these cars represent what Porsche is capable of when profit margins are not the primary constraint. So here is the honest verdict. The Macan is a good SUV priced like a great one. Buy it used or skip it entirely. Levels 2 through 5, Cayenne, Panamera, Cayman, 911. This is where the engineering actually matches the price and where the brand earns every dollar on the window sticker. Start with a Cayenne or a Cayman. Understand why people build their lives around this brand. Move up as your situation justifies it. Reach the 911 when the payment doesn't keep you awake. Above level 5, you are no longer buying transportation. You are making a statement about your financial position, and that is a different category of purchase entirely. The biggest mistake you can make with Porsche isn't buying the wrong one. It's buying one you're afraid to drive. If this was useful, subscribe. I break down cars the way they actually work, not the way the brochure describes them. See you in the next one.